began to really understand the motivating factors in John Belushi's life, what parts of his difficult childhood continued to plague him as an adult comedy superstar, in your opinion?
That's such an interesting question, because we go to some effort to connect his grown-up John to young John. You know, in the animation, the
Yes.
4-year-old John is always present in the film. He's not far from the grown-up John, whether he's having an epiphany at Second City, or he's getting pissed off at an interviewer who doesn't understand, you know, his vision, or he's raiding the refrigerator when he's being America's guest, or in the final days at the chateau. And I was kind of inspired to do that, to ask Robert Bally to animate young John throughout the film, because I did always feel that, to some degree, by the way, not unlike us all, that he was always wrestling with the demons of his childhood. And I want to leave it to the viewer to say what those demons, to experience what those demons were. But in my understanding of it, he had a very challenging relationship with his dad that was always important for him to overcome. I mean, this is part of what makes this such an essential immigrant story as well. His father was an immigrant from Albania. John was US born, where opportunity and risk and following your dreams was as much as his father related to the idea of the American cowboy conquering the West, it was John who was the American cowboy conquering in the West. And you see in the film that in spite of that, you would think that his father would say, go boy, get it. Yeah. But he had a hard time with that, because he wanted his son to follow in his footsteps and take over the restaurant. And he resented that John was following his dreams. This is a very classic immigrant story, is in the kind of mythos of the American experience.
One of the elements of John Belushi, the performer, is how once he achieved the success he was ambitious for, it didn't seem to make him content. By the end of his life, what do you think he was trying to prove through the choice of the projects he was working on?
And I'm not sure he was trying to prove something. He may have been, as much as he was fulfilling the destiny of a visionary artist. And again, I could say, well, I think he was going to prove that he could act, and right. He was going to prove, but I'm not sure that was the motivation. And I think the motivation was that he was a man driven by his vision. And you see that throughout his life. You see that with the band he put together in high school. You hear about it from Judy, who said when she met him, he was doing the performance night and you see the picture of the jug band. You see it from a young age. When he goes off to college and he starts the comedy troupe, but you really see it in things that we're very familiar with. Who was it who put this group of genius comedians, sketch comedian actors and writers together first, right, before Saturday Night Live? Right. For all I'd take nothing away from Lorne Michaels. What a maestro, right, what a genius, what a brilliant producer, what achievements he's achieved, how he's changed American culture and society with his work. But he didn't put that cast together. That cast was put together. He went around and he brought them all from wherever they were, Chicago, Toronto, New York, and he put them together. And that was John Belushi for the National Lampoon Radio Hour. And who invented the Blues Brothers? Who understood? You see, they're talking with he and John he and Dan are talking to the interviewer, and he's like, "I know what it is." Dan's like, "Nobody quite knows what it is," and John's like, "I know what it is." He's a visionary artist, so he's pursuing this kind of vast vision, and he's creating. And artists do this. Visionaries do this. They're always reinventing themselves. They're exploring common themes, even as they're breaking new ground. And that's what I think he was doing. He was driven to explore new ground at all times.
Let's go to the animation. It was very specifically designed. And once you determine you would have animation, how did you land on the look of it? Were you inspired by something you'd seen, or did you audition the look that you wanted?
Well, I'll tell you, I was inspired by Robert Valley, the animator, and his body of work. And that boy is a genius. And I looked at his reel, and I couldn't believe it. And I was thrilled. And then we started talking, and he shared with me some drawings, and it was bingo right away. I mean, he gets the credit. I got to direct him, which was a great privilege. You know, as I mentioned, I realized when he showed me the little boy that little boy should be there through the experience. And that was really, really exciting. It's Robert Valley, and my response to his work, and the collaboration was deeply satisfying.
Beautiful. What was the process of discovering the interview audio tapes? And what impressions do you have about the timing of what was revealed in them about John, as opposed to, you think, talking to someone today about him?
Yeah, you're asking all the key questions of the experience of making the film. Seriously, you're getting to the core of what, you know. So we've been working on the film for a little bit, and I had done some early interviews with people, and I didn't like them.
Right.
I really didn't like them. Everybody was telling me their John Belushi stories, you know, and I was not the first person they had told them to.
Right.
And some of them were talking a lot about themselves, and I didn't want to talk about them. And others were, you know, it was just all in the foggy haze of memory and ossified narratives. It was like exactly what I didn't want this film to be. What I wanted this film to be was raw and immediate and present, and I wanted to know what it was like. I didn't care. This wasn't part of the interviews, but you know, through the years I've been making the film, people have been like, and do you interview this comedian who was with John the day he died? And do you include this person who, you know, I hear sold him the drugs? And I'm like, no, I don't care about that. I didn't care about what it was like for John to die. I cared about what it was like for John to live. And I wanted to talk to the people who shared life with him. And I wanted to hear from them in a way where it was about life. And that's what finding that box of interviews gave me the opportunity to do.
What year were those interviews from?
They were done over maybe a 10-year period, but it started in the 80s. It started soon after his death.
This is Patrick McDonald for HollywoodChicago.com. Copyright 2020.